So what started to really get me on a different track was there was this night in February, right around 1992, I think it was 91, 92.
Yeah.
I went to work. I got in trouble twice that day. I was reprimanded. I mean, I really was not doing a good job. I was very bitter. I was very angry,
Right.
and things were falling apart. So I have this emotional meltdown in the back of a trailer at work, and I just start crying. I'm crying my eyes out. I did not know how to change my situation. And every other person that I would ask, I would be like, look, I know I screwed up. I shouldn't have quit high school. How do I turn this situation around? And the only answer anybody would give me was, well, you shouldn't have quit high school. Work really hard,
Yeah.
work overtime. But it seemed logically like the only way to turn it around was to go back to school. But now, here I am, I'm married, I have two children, I can't pay my bills as it is, I'm working 6.5 days a week. This is all before the internet, right? how
Yeah.
do i how do I go back and get an education? I don't have the money and I don't have the time to
Yeah.
do.
And what were you doing for work at this point?
I was driving a forklift, working in a warehouse during the week, and then on the weekends I would drive a tractor trailer. I would do shuttle runs from Chicago to either St. Louis or Indianapolis, Detroit, Flint, Michigan, that type of thing. Things that you
Yeah.
could turn around in basically about 10 hours.
Gotcha.
That's what I was doing. Um, so anyway, I have this meltdown in the back of this trailer, and I was asking God, like, show me something, anything. I'll do whatever is necessary, but show me something. And a voice in my head said, David, change your attitude. It was audible. I could, it was like somebody was in the trailer with me.
Yeah.
I'm not even joking. So I thought to myself, okay, I've been hearing this since I was a little kid because I wasn't a good student as a child. I hated school. It didn't interest me at all. And the teachers would say to my father when when I would get called in, David's a pretty intelligent guy. If you would change his attitude about school, he would probably get good grades. And I would go home, and my parents' answer to this problem was, I would get a spanking, or I would definitely get grounded from one report card to another. And they would say, change your attitude. And I would get sent to my room, but nobody told me what it was. Nobody showed me how to change it. I had no direction in this area.
Right.
They didn't know. I mean, I found it out later as an adult that they didn't know, but I didn't know that at the time. So I started thinking to myself, all right, what is this attitude thing? Like, how do I change it? What is it? I looked at the gentleman that owned the company that I worked for. And when I was driving the forklift, I worked for a food distribution company outside of Chicago. It was the largest food importer in the country at the time.
Hmm.
And the guy had started the company in his garage, apparently, and built it up to this huge, they were responsible for all the imported foods in the United States. So I was like, what's the difference between this guy and me? He came from the same kind of background, apparently. What's the difference? So I recognized three things. I recognized that he must have enjoyed what he did, and I didn't. I hated what I did. So I said, okay, with the idea of changing my attitude now, I'm going to act like I love what I do every day.
Mhm.
The second thing was I realized he must have done a good job because he built it into this very successful business. And I was
Right.
not doing a good job. I had this middle class mindset of working to go home. Like, when do I get off? When do I get to get off and go do something different? It was not about
Sure.
doing the very best that I could. And I never had anybody in my life show me what my best was or push me, to my
Right.
best. What are you really capable of? I didn't have
Yeah.
that
You're just
direction
kind
as
of
a kid.
wandering.
Yeah, very much wandering. So I said, all right, I'm going to do every job to the best of my ability. And then there was this third thing. I was raised with the idea that successful people were basically assholes, that they just were, they really, like, that was the idea, that
Yeah.
they were arrogant, they were not nice people. And of course, I didn't know any successful people when I was growing up. But I saw something that really gave me a different question about this gentleman. I worked in a warehouse. Most of the people in the warehouse, probably 80%, didn't even speak English. He would not walk past somebody, Stu, without acknowledging them. So he was forever walking through the warehouse with other business people. We had a state-of-the-art production system in that warehouse that they had designed for that company, and other companies would do tours of the business and they would get to see what he had created. he would never walk past you or anybody else that worked for him without saying, "Hey, how you doing? Nice to see you. You're doing a great job. How's your
Yeah.
family?" That type of thing. And it impressed me. It was so contrary to what I had heard about successful people. So I said, I'm going to treat people with the same kind of respect just because they're human beings.
Yeah.
So those are the three things that I decided I was going to change as far as my attitude went. And prior to that, for the 2 years that I worked for this guy, I was trying to figure out, how do I go from 20,000 a year to 40,000? And I would sit down during my lunch breaks with a calculator and a pencil, and I'm trying to figure out, okay, if I work this many hours a day and I work this many hours a week and I get these nickel and dime raises, maybe in 30 years I'll get to 40,000. So I make this change. I've got this voice in my head saying, "You've never stuck to anything in your life. What makes you think you're going to stick to this?" I'm
Yeah.
arguing with myself. And I'm like, "No, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this for 12 months and see if it makes a difference." In 30 days, my income tripled. I went from 20,000 a year to 62,000. And this is like around 1991. I didn't even know anybody that was making $60,000 a
Yeah.
year. God's truth. I did not. There was nobody in my family that was doing it. And I was so stunned by what happened that it caused me to want to find out what actually happened. What did I do? How did my changing my attitude
For
literally
sure.
cause me to make this change in my life? So that's when I began to study. That's like we were talking earlier. That's when I found Tony.
Yeah.
I turned my car into basically a book on tape library. I got rid of all the music. I had a
Hmm.
100-mile drive to work one way every day.
Wow.
So I was just listening to books on tape, reading every book I could get my hands on, listening to seminars on tape, Tony's personal power tapes on
Yeah.
tape. And one thing led to another, and I started putting the pieces together. But it was a 7-year period of time from that moment until I started my business in 1999. And during that 7 years, all I did was study. And I was just trying to learn about me. I wasn't studying to start a
Yeah.
business. I wasn't
Love
studying
that.
to, and the other thing was that life just kept getting better for that 7 years. I maintained that thing about my attitude, but I went from, so what ended up happening to triple my income was that I got offered a position at another company, basically doing the same thing, but earning 3 times the amount of money,
Dang.
which was really bizarre. The other thing was that opportunity existed. It was around me in potential for 2 years, and I didn't know it.
Hmm.
I couldn't even see it because my attitude was so bad. So that was something that I learned. Also, by changing my attitude, it changed my perception.
Yeah. So
So I was able to see an opportunity that was there, but I couldn't see it before that.